This next session is all about the future of Cardano funding. And we have three amazing presentations from some folks that you might recognize in different institutions in our ecosystem. So there's three presentations. We're going to start it off with the one and only Logan Panshot from BuilderDAO.
Wow. Thank you for the warm welcome. If you don't know me, my name is Logan, and I am on a mission to implement decentralized governance into the fabric of society. And today, I get the privilege of representing over 40 builders in the Cardano ecosystem, and I get to tell you all about Cardano BuilderDAO. So I'm going to tell you how it works, our governance structure, the membership process. We're really going to get into it. So the first exciting thing to understand is the origin story. And as good things start oftentimes, it started on a Zoom call. And I was on a call with my co-founder, and we saw this opportunity being presented with the treasury being unlocked for the community. And what we knew was Cardano ecosystem has to have increasing users and on-chain activity for survival and growth. But in order to make this happen, it's like, what did we need to do? We didn't have funding structures in the ecosystem that were tailor-made to grow projects. So we saw a gap in the current funding ecosystem on Cardano. So Catalyst is an awesome tool for Cardano, and it will continue to be. It can fund these early stage funding mechanisms through a milestone-based process, and that's awesome. But what's missing is this is not purpose-built for growth stage products. So products that are near product market fit, they have a functioning product, they have users, they need scaling capital. They don't need idea stage grants and to put in ideas they think the community think will pass. They need to focus on what they need to increase their KPIs, which we'll get more into that. So we saw this ecosystem risk that without follow-on capital, even promising projects stagnate or won't grow the ecosystem. So where does this follow-on capital normally come from? In many other blockchain ecosystems, it comes from maybe the foundation or venture capital investment, but these things aren't really present in Cardano at this point, and certainly not enough. So the vision of Cardano BuilderDAO is to create a self-sustaining, scalable funding engine for the Cardano ecosystem. So what that results in is a coordination layer for builders to collaborate and compete with the ultimate goal of making Cardano sustainable by increasing on-chain metrics and users. Community members. I know there's some builders in the crowd here. What's up, guys? Yes, sir. Yeah. So this all started it's a grassroots movement, and we just started reaching out to our friends who we know had projects, and we know we're entrepreneurs in the ecosystem. They were all like, yeah, this is needed. Let's all come together. So over the last, 3-4 months, we have Bodega, Dex Hunter, Fluid Tokens, Fluxpoint, Indigo, Iagon, MinSwap, Matera, Sunday Lab, Snag, Vesper, OneChain, InMaker, Liquid, Strike Finance, Strip Drop. All these projects are coming together as a grassroots movement to create a shared treasury that we can all have one goal aligned with. So let's talk about the DAO structure. First things first is this is a 12 million ADA proposal, which is a pretty big ask, right? And where these funds go, they go directly into an Agora DAO treasury. Now, what is important about that? It is an audited and open source library of Plutus scripts meant for collective ownership of resources. So all of the funds that come into this are collectively managed by all of the builders in the DAO. And the DAO implements a one member, one vote structure. So you have 40 projects. Some of them are competitors. A lot of people know each other personally. This is a very, very good coordination layer because you have all these domain experts in one area coming together to make decisions. Now, one of the hardest things to do was to organize the membership criteria for this DAO, because we want it to be for proven builders, but we don't want it to be exclusive. So this is how it works. We use Project Catalyst as a community sensing mechanism. So if you are a builder with a working product on Cardano, with KPIs you can point to that you have and you want to improve, and you also have a closed out Catalyst proposal, you're in the DAO. You can come and be a requesting member. If you have a working product and you have an approved Catalyst proposal, you can come in as a voting member. Now, with this being said, there are so many great builders that haven't gone through the Catalyst rigmarole. So we use Catalyst, just to go back a little bit, I forgot to say, Catalyst is a great way to do this because the builders will know if you want to close out milestones and get your project approved, you go through some scrutiny. I can see Danny back there nodding his head. you have to go through these milestones, and these reviewers are asking all these questions, making sure you're doing right. So it proves that you can perform under scrutiny and delivers actual stuff. Now, with that being said, a lot of projects haven't done Catalyst before. So what we actually did is we made it so that if you do have a working product, but you haven't been through Catalyst before, you can still get in the DAO. And this is what we did. You can see our governance portal. We voted in Splash Labs. We voted about FarmRoll, Tokyo Labs, Strike Finance, Local Cooperativa, Zerberus. So these are projects that they're Cardano builders for sure, but they haven't gone through. So we have a clause to be able to vote them in. You can kind of see what it looks like and how it works. I think I went too far. Yep, and then governance workflow. So how it works is when projects need to get or want to ask for funds from the Treasury, they all submit a proposal. I'm going to get into the template in a second here because it explains a lot of things. But first, this governance action goes in a discussion thread. Goes in a discussion stage where people can come ask questions, ask clarifying questions, say why they like it, they don't like it. And then once it's done with that, this same governance action moves into a voting period for a temperature check where all members, they all have one vote, right? They either upvote or they downvote it, and if they get more upvotes than downvotes, then that company's proposal moves on to the next phase, which is the Treasury withdrawal. Now, the Treasury withdrawal is a fully on-chain vote carried out by the Agora DAO, where the majority of members must vote yes in order to... Okay. The majority of members must vote yes in order for the smart contract to automatically pass and distribute the funds to all of the different companies. The next big thing is semi-annual cycles. So we operate on a 6-month basis. So projects request 6 months of funding. They get their funding. They have to come back in 6 months to report back on their KPIs to see whether the social consensus layer wants to give them follow-on funding. We also have a semi-annual cycle with membership. So we need to have stable membership in order for compliance reasons and also for smart contracts reasons to make sure our quorums can be set. So every 6 months, we bring in new members. There's a handful of projects already that are looking to get in for the next one. Then we also have board members. This is just the administrative function, and there's 5 community members that are actually on the board, and their job is to make sure that the governance process is carried out. All the members know when governance actions are happening, compliance requirements are met. Now, I want to lock in on the fact that the CB DAO is centered around KPIs. So when you have your Treasury withdrawal application, it doesn't look the same as Catalyst. It doesn't look the same as your Treasury proposal. This is what you're filling out. You're telling us at least 2 of these metrics, your monthly active users, your revenue, your downloads, your installs, where you want to see them in 6 months, where you want to see them in 12 months. And that's what you're going to be judged against. It's not whether you're completing milestones, it's whether you're meeting your goals and KPIs. We're going as far as to build a dashboard with tap tools so that not only can we see the collective metrics of the DAO, but you can also see all of the projects that have requested and what their KPIs are and how they're growing. And with North Star metrics, I kind of talked about this, but the North Star metrics are things that the projects need to improve, but also the whole ecosystem benefits from. And then for follow-on funding, the main thing to say here is this is not designed to be a honeypot that projects just keep coming back to. What this is designed to do is to get scaling capital to projects so that they can become either self-sufficient and have enough revenue to be on their own, or be ready to be a venture-backed company with these KPIs. And with the follow-on funding, like I said, you have to come back after 6 months and to report your KPIs. So just to end, this is our vision. We saw this gap in Cardano's funding ecosystem. If we don't increase transaction volume and users and TVL on the Cardano blockchain, then we're in trouble. And these are the builders. I've heard people say it. I know Nate has said stuff like this, like, I'm going to bring billions of transactions to chain. And he's saying it with a straight face. Patrick from InMaker told me the same thing. So many others have told me the same thing. We are going to be the ones that bring the next 100 million transactions and users to Cardano. That is our goal. So we are like 2% from passing this and being funded. We have all of our governance in place. We take our shit really seriously. So please, if you haven't voted for us, vote for us. And if you're not convinced, corner me and let me talk my way out of the corner, and I'll tell you why it's good for Cardano.
Well, up next we have the amazing things that's happening at Draper U. And and this is Arissa Yuno. That's how you say it, right? Yeah. Give it up. One of the most amazing developments that has happened in the Cardano funding ecosystem. She's going to dive right into that. And yeah, so wait just a second. Oh, here we go. And we'll get it started.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you so much. Usually we are hosting a lot of events. Like this massive size of events is crazy. So thank you so much for having us. And yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Arisa. I work for Draper University, and then university means like, yes, school, but that just a concept is a school. So what we do is accelerating the startup, and then we also invest, so as a venture capital. So this is our like huge building inside of the Silicon Valley. It's just like 15 minutes away from San Francisco Airport. And education, acceleration, venture capital, residency, all combined, and then 8 floors, and 100 founders living all together, 24 hours from 35 different countries. Yeah, so this is us. We've been doing this since like 2012. So Tim Draper, this guy, he's a big in a Bitcoin, but he is the one crazy enough to let's create the school for entrepreneurs. Yeah, and then like back in 2012, he just created it. And then he's been doing that, and then he still comes to this program, and then every day he's, oh my God, this is so fun. I can do this every day. This is very, very true because he always comes here, and then sometimes he has to sit, and then for 100 founders pitching every day, and then like he sit and ask questions. So what we have done, we supported the founders from over 100 countries. And then successfully, each of them, after they graduating from our accelerator program, they just raised 1.2 billion. And then we are really proud of the fact that not only just supporting, but usually at the school, they are like, oh, which job you got? No, we create the founders who are producing the employment. So that means this many jobs created. So venture capital is our DNA. What that means is, so Tim Draper, our founder, but his grandfather is the one who created the VC concept for the first time in Silicon Valley. So they've been running the VC fund for 70 years, and then Tim Draper himself is also like running the venture capital for 40 years, 40. And then his son, his daughters, every one of them is also running the funds. Building the ecosystem, because as a venture capital, they've been seeing a lot of struggle as a founder. So really, really wanted to create an ecosystem. So here we go, Draper University ecosystem, not only just here, but we have like starting exploration, education, incubation, acceleration, and funding, all combined all together. We have been managing the funds, more than 48 funds all over the world, not only just in US, but like everywhere. Yeah, so 40 years anniversary, actually this year was the 40th anniversary of our fund. But more than like 50 unicorn companies, and then like 10 times bigger than a unicorn company, we have successfully funded like more than 10 rhino companies, which is like bigger, 10 times bigger than the unicorn. So in the Web3 ecosystem, Tim Draper invested in a lot of companies. Back in 2014, he gained 30K Bitcoin from the Silk Road bidding auction. But since then, he's really, really explored a lot of possibilities all around the Web3 ecosystem. And then this year, we also did the Cardano accelerator for the first time in the world. So thanks to all of the collaboration through the Catalyst and then Cardano Foundations and then our venture capital, our team, everyone is like really committed almost like more than 2 years actually. One of our alumni of founder at the Draper University, he went back to Jamaica and then came back, hey, this is amazing. We should do this for the Cardano ecosystem. He came back, he kept pitching, and then, it just like realized this, and wow, this is so crazy. And then finally this happens. So back in April, we launched the program. Actually, the Logan, the previous speaker, he was also one of the alumni. And then also some of you sitting there, we selected 20 companies from all over the world. So this was our proposal on Catalyst. We just go through just one of our project. And this is like the program that we committed 5 weeks. And then we selected 20 companies, but it took so much time because we really started from scratch. No any network, anything. But a lot of people supported us. And then co-building, collaboration with these projects. But not only just like they're gathering together, they live together. So that means like from the morning, from the really, really late night, they just sat down together, not only just a mingle, like exploring idea, building together, and collaborating each other. And then sometimes they went to like, hey, like let's do the hackathon. They went out to the hackathon in like outside of like San Francisco, and then a lot of them like got back earning money because they just won the hackathon. So that shows that a lot of Cardano builders are really, really technical enough, and you're really surprised. Every day, without us telling you what to do, they're just like keep building. So it was really, really amazing to see, like, it actually opened our eyes. And then after that, we are trying to like help them to raise money. And then for the BC, like sometimes they're not really familiar with the Cardano ecosystem. So we just really practice why Cardano pitch before they're even talking about their business. And then guess what? A lot of people actually ask, why Cardano? And then 20 projects gathered together, like hanging around in San Francisco, and like, what is happening? This is for the first time for us to see like this many Cardano projects in my real life. A lot of VCs and then startup founders like just mentioned that. So like, yeah, okay, like hosting more events. So we really raised a lot of presence of the Cardano in the Bay Area in San Francisco. Our North Star is not only short-term project. We really, really committed to build an ecosystem, just like we do at the Draper. But we also want to do like ecosystem of Cardano in the future. How we can support and how we can do together, not only just us, but we need a lot of support, collaboration, and then we need to understand what is the issue. How can we solve that? It's almost like a big project, just like a startup. And then this is a highlight. 40 founders came here at the Draper University, and then from 16 countries, and then we had a lot of programs. So every day it's almost like events. Our team is not that many, but every day from the morning to the almost late night, just like building what is a critical session for our founders, who should be invited as speakers. So 35 speakers and mentors, and then they raised like 14 million fundraise or grant. Sourcing process and selection criteria, it was very tough. To be honest, there are too many good projects. We wish we could choose everyone, but our spot was only 20 companies. So we did a lot of marketing events, network outreach, a lot of outreach, and then gain a lot of knowledge, and then also gain a lot of recognition. Non-Cardano builders also asking us, how can we do this? How can we learn more about this? And I'm like, wow, this is a lot of demand. So we really tap into a lot of criteria, a lot of startup, and then if we listed a lot of criteria, this is too many. If you're interested, please check out our Catalyst report, because every month we just did a report. Sometimes, yes, we need to like rework, and then like it's almost like communicating like online with a lot of supporters. Yeah, so application, we gain application 400, and then 250 call interviews we did. Again, our team is not that big, but we're really asking around everyone. And then 3 conferences in a different continent, and then 15 events in unlimited learning. And these are the founders they came from. And yeah, so that's how we created it. But the question was the why Cardano? We really thought about this together with the founders. And then team app as a Cardano, and it's almost like ambassador in the United States, in San Francisco especially. So as a group, how can we raise this like recognition as a Cardano? We really thought about it. Yeah. So this is the values, program highlight. Yeah. We actually went to Top Golf in San Francisco as well. But testimonial and then great biggest news is like investment. We're still negotiating because renegotiating, and then we really want to invest in some kind of founder. So stay tuned, but it's gonna be big program is happening. Is it okay to show this? Okay. Yeah, but this is our what we do at Draper University. We are having a booth at the Real Evo, so please join us and then stop by and then say hi to me. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Give it one more time for Arissa. Awesome. And up next, we have Daniel Rybar from Project Catalyst. He's going to be making his way to the stage. Anyone here heard of Project Catalyst? Give it up for Project Catalyst. Come on. All right. Love that. Love that. And here's the man, the myth. Oh, what a surprise.
I'm not used to this. Usually it's Zoom calls. So there's living beings here. That's interesting.
This is for you. Left and right should work. And you're all good to go. All right, everyone give it up.
Howdy, everyone. Big shout out to CBDAO and a great... There's a timer. All right, so we shouldn't go over 10 minutes. So in 10 minutes, if that's the lunch next thing, I'll be out of your way. So shout out to CBDAO and Draper University. Great presentations. Always love seeing like how the rising tide in the ecosystem makes all the boats rise along the way as well. And it's amazing to see how far this ecosystem is coming along across all of those years. All right, well, who am I and why am I here today? Well, my name is Daniel and I have the privilege, sometimes the burden of running day-to-day of the Project Catalyst. So you might have seen me online, chattering, talking about different things with regards to the Catalyst. And basically, I'm here to tell you a little bit about what the Project Catalyst is. You've seen these beautiful banners around the venue, a little subliminal messaging. You might be wondering, what is Project Catalyst in the first place? So just to give a little bit of understanding in the room, who hasn't heard about the Project Catalyst yet? Can you raise your hand? Can you hear me though? Can everybody hear me? I am speaking in the mic. Can you hear me now? All right, people in the back can hear me now. As you can see, I don't often hold mic in front of my face as often. All right, so who has heard of Project Catalyst here before? Raise your hand now. Woo! All right, awesome. That's amazing. Well, what is Project Catalyst for some people who might be hearing about the Project Catalyst for the very first time? Well, it started with a relatively simple idea in terms of like how can the Cardano community best support innovation at a grassroots level to further Cardano's mission to make the world better for all. And that's how it all started, nearly now 5 years ago. Can you imagine? 13 funding life cycles ago. And what propelled all of that? Well, Cardano community is very engaged. And it means that they are participating as citizens of the digital nation of the Cardano, and they're governing what they call in the middle is a big pot of shared resources, which enables forward planning and roadmap planning about how does Cardano evolve over the future. So what we do in Catalyst, we have a bit of an innovation angel. Project Catalyst is one of the largest decentralized innovation engines on the planet, having distributed or allocated to the tune of excess of $150 million in funding to projects across 90 different countries with 2,000 funded projects. And that's a pretty cool thing, and we're gonna check it out in the next couple of slides. What is even cooler that all of this $150 million in funding via ADA, Cardano Treasury, was done with community-led voting. Those are not decisions somewhere in the high corporate 100th floor boardroom, that's in your palms with your ADA, voting and choosing which projects should get the chance to get their projects and ideas on the way. And so what do we do together over 5 years? Well, we've been solving some wicked problems together. So if you don't know, every funding round begins with setting the scope. What are the kinds of things and ideas that we're looking for to solve? What are the problems? What are the challenges? What are the opportunities that we can put our brains together and see whether we can deploy the right solutions for them? And then we go out there, all of the projects, all of you, builders, educators, they go out there and deploy these projects. And then what do? We review the outcomes. You saw the CBDAO talking about the KPIs, all of those nice things. That's exactly what needs to be happening. Are we getting the return on the intention from the treasury money that's coming in through? And once we've done that, what do we do as best? You might know that it's always the project catalyst attribute. We begin with welcome to the experiment slide. Well, it wouldn't be a good experiment if we don't learn on the lessons that we apply, and then we iterate, and we start the cycle all over again. And we've done this cycle 13 times to date as a community. Now, how you might participate? You might have been the proposer. So these are all the people that have ideas. You've seen an opportunity. You've seen a challenge, something that's been bothering you on the back of your head. And you just might have the right solution, but you're looking for some of that, whether it's the social capital or funding that allows you to get outside and act on those ideas. We've seen to date about 5,000 unique proposers. This is actually probably the most vulnerable function in the entire ecosystem. Why? Because these people are not pitching in front of the boardroom of 5 or 10 people. These people are making themselves vulnerable in front of thousands and tens of thousands of people of public feedback and scrutiny. And that takes confidence. So all of the proposers, I see many people here in the audience, and certainly throughout the Rare Evo event, are the ones who had enough confidence to come and participate in this public endeavor, which has resulted that we have now funded 91 different countries where the projects are coming in from, and to the excess of 2,000 projects. Well, let's say that you don't have the idea just yet. Well, how else you might participate? Well, did you know, as we talked about, every ADA holder actually makes the decisions. So all of the funds that have been allocated over the course of the 5 years were to the tune of the decisions of the community. And collectively, they've cast 3.1 million votes across all of these funding campaigns. And all you need to do is to have 25 ADA in your ADA wallet, and as a Cardano citizen, that allows you to cast a vote and make a decision in terms of where do you want to set your priorities, which projects are ready to take it to the next level, and how do you want to see those things prioritized as such. Let's say you're not ready for any of those roles. Well, what is the easiest way to actually get some ADA is to exchange your opinions, your experience, your expertise, and help projects get better through the lenses of the community review. And that's where the community reviewers are coming in. We've collectively collected in the last 5 years 320,000 community reviews across all of these projects which were funded. And these are important functions. It provides early feedback to all of the projects who are learning to see, are they communicating correctly? Are they providing the level of the detail that people are understanding? Is my pitch landing the way as I'm thinking it does? And we've had around 8,000 community reviewers participate over those 5 years, with many of them functioning also as the moderators. This is one of the easiest ways how to onboard yourself into the Cardano ecosystem if you've never held any ADA, because as a result, and if you do a really good job, you get rewarded for your function. Now, if you're long enough in the Project Catalyst, you can actually graduate to one of the most coveted positions within the Project Catalyst ecosystem, and those are milestone reviewers. You've heard in the presentations earlier, Project Catalyst does not give out funding in a lump sum payments. What we actually do is a milestone-based funding, so that means that every project has to come up with a roadmap, and we call that roadmap statement of milestones. And then every time when the projects go on their way, they have to meet those milestones in order to unlock the next funding tranches. And then they're working shoulder to shoulder with milestone reviewers, scrutinizing, making sure that the original promise of what the proposals were intended to do in the first place, they actually meet the expectations and provide meeting the acceptance criteria. We've seen to date about 3,000 proof of achievements reviewed by this cohort, and is an entirely community-led function as such, to the tune almost nearly 100 individuals all across the world. Now, why should you participate? So, first of all, it's an amazing way to get to know people outside of your usual immediate surroundings, whether it's your socials, because you get to interact on a different level, and specifically within your functions, such as community reviewers and whatnot. But it's an amazing way to actually learn and grow. Like I mentioned, this is done all in public, which means that you get to learn how to communicate, how to sell your ideas, and how to collaborate, especially making those connections with people where you might want to extend your capabilities as a team and collaborate together as such. What that has resulted in, when I talked about the countries, Catalyst today is nearly in every corner of the earth, which is pretty exciting. What is even cooler that with all of these projects, as you can see them on the screen, if you would like to find out whether somebody's building in your backyard, I do encourage you to go and check out the Catalyst interactive map. It is the easiest way to find out where the builders are in the ecosystem, to see whether somebody in your postcode area is actually building something of an interest that you might want to collaborate on, reach out to them. So if you haven't already, there's a QR code that's going to get you to there, and you'll be able to figure out on the global map to go all the way down to the country level and see what kinds of projects are being built locally, what their status is, and which verticals they're actually participating in. So pretty cool. You can probably lose yourself there for a couple hours at a time as well. Now, just a highlight of what I'm going to touch upon the next slide as well. Catalyst has been at the epicenter of the product ecosystem for the past couple of years within Cardano. And this is just a small selection of like the companies and organizations that have been funded, some of which are presenting here today as well. But altogether, it was about 300 funded projects across the product ecosystem, and that has resulted about 20 plus Fortune 500 and Tier 1 companies, which are bringing good attention and collaboration to partnership with different kind of proposals in the Cardano ecosystem, and even one state government in India as well. So it's super exciting. Now, if you would like to see some of those more insights and the granularity between them, whether it's the country level, different funding, whether it's the DeFi horizon and whatnot, I do encourage you to check out this publication, which is one of the most important and first of its kind in Catalyst history, where we aggregated all of those years together in an easy to consume and easy to shareable format. So if you haven't read it yet, I do encourage you to check out. There's also a QR code in the top right corner, which is super cool to go and see some of those visuals, the trends, and to see what the impact of the Project Catalyst has been through the lenses of the community over the past couple of years. And what's even more exciting is, well, if you haven't noticed, Fund 14 is currently underway. So if you haven't clocked it in, there's a deadline to submit applications by August 18th, 6 a.m. UTC. And Fund 14 is now officially live thanks to the Cardano community. And again, I would like to extend a humble thank you to everyone who expressed their support towards the Project Catalyst team, and also the proposal that has been now enacted as of past weekend, which means that Fund 14 is now officially on its way, and we're going to lock in Fund 14, Fund 15, and Fund 16 with the same level of predictability as you've seen for the previous 3 funding life cycles. So I'm really excited to see what that funding landscape is going to look like. If you would like to check out more about what that information is all about, there's also a QR code, and you'll be able to get all the latest on the deadlines, what the categories are, and everything in between. Now, if you would like to share the news with anyone else, we have also very nifty, a 4-page Fund 14 launch guide. And then you will be able to get where the things are rolling. All right? So this is basically at the end of it. We have now 20 million ADA through the community lenses to be available in Fund 14. So if you're excited, you had that idea in the back of your head, applications are open. Make sure you submit it by the August 18th at 6 a.m. UTC. Now, there's the 3 of us here at the floor. There's myself, there's Chris Baird, our general manager, and also head of product. So if you see us around the ecosystem here during the Rare Evo, tap on our back. We would love to chat with you. If you would like to connect, there is also live updates on the Catalyst on X, what we're doing and where we are. And if you would like to get in touch with me directly, whether it's on X or on LinkedIn, I'm happy to chat as well. So thank you, everyone, and hopefully you're going to have a fantastic rest of the day at the Top Golf. Thank you.